Very, very good morning, everybody, and a particularly good morning to Michael Lantry. Michael, good to see you again.
And you, Gordon. Thanks for the retreat this week. That was great. Really enjoyed it.
Fantastic. So, Michael and I, for anybody new to TRN who or wasn't at our summer retreat, we've just come back from 48 hours with 250 recruitment business leaders where we're bouncing around ideas, getting access to some world-class thought leadership, and it was good, wasn't it? Any particular big takeaways for you, Michael?
Um, I thought it was a really good balance of kind of inspiration and kind of keynotes and things like that with really practical, kind of hands-on workshops. But as always, and I've been to, I don't know, maybe five retreats now. It's the kind of hanging out with people because the hotel is just us. So when you're at breakfast, you just sit down with people or lunch or dinner or whatever. And so some really, really enjoyable conversations with people who are my friends now, but also met some new people. And you kind of get a sense of where people are at, what's going well for them, what's not. And it's a good kind of sense check on how we're doing in GemPool, and but just really enjoyable. Like it's good fun. So yeah, I mean, for me, I did a little bit of kind of thinking on in the airport because we had a couple of hours on the way home, and we wrote down because Cathal, my co-director, was there as well. We wrote down a few actions. One of them is building out those kind of AI agent teams that James talked about. So a marketing team of agents, a delivery team of agents, BD team of agents, and trying to build some kind of structure around that. So we're going to be working on that. And a lot of other actions too. So like a lot of really practical stuff to take away, really good. Loved it.
Brilliant. Good. All right. Well, listen. Let's get into Gempool and your story,
Okay.
and particularly how you've been really managing to accelerate the way that you fill roles. And if anybody's got any questions, I know we just put out a note. Please don't hesitate to just jump in and pop them in there. So let's just brief overview of Gempool, Michael, if that's all right. You joined the business. You weren't actually the founder. You joined it in 2012, I believe.
That's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I joined in 2012 as a rookie working a contract desk on software development roles. And yeah, we went through couple of different chapters in the business, a tough couple of years around 2014, 2015. And I became a director in 2015 and have been essentially running the company since. And we've grown in numbers, we've come down in numbers, we've had good years and bad years and terrible quarters and brilliant quarters. And, where we're at now, we have six people. We serve the software engineering and data center markets, predominantly in Ireland, but on the data center side, it's more around Europe. And we do contract and perm. I did an MBO in 2023 and took over the business from the then owner. And yeah, we are ambitious but small. We've made a lot of mistakes. I'm coming to this webinar with you, Gordon, very much conscious that we haven't sussed everything out. We're not nailing it and smashing every part of our business, right? There's a lot of things that are okay, some things are poor, some things are good, and we keep going. But yeah, that's us in a nutshell.
Love it. And one of the reasons I asked you, and again, I remember when I asked you, you said, well, actually, we've been doing a lot of stuff. I don't think any of it is necessarily completely unique, but for me, we have winners and losers in every single sector, and the winners are the ones who take what we know to be best practice and execute it. So I'd like to explore a few of the things that you've been really working on that has driven up the revenue. So if we can start with the community piece. You've got a fantastic following of CTOs and developers in Ireland, I'm guessing. So how did you build that community, and how is that translating into placements and revenue for the business?
Yeah, so this came about nearly kind of on the one hand, we were attending events like the TRN event. I remember specifically there was a January one, I think it was 2023, and there was some of the members talking about building communities and the benefits they've gotten from doing that. And it was something that I thought that's very, very powerful. And we weren't doing anything in that way at all. And then secondary to that, I was having a conversation with a guy I know who was actually a chief product officer who was talking about the kind of importance of connection and how particularly at that time, right, we're talking middle of 2023, people were really yearning for that connection. So I said, look, I'm going to try and organize a lunch. So I got a few CTOs I know. I think it was four originally in that first lunch and brought them out for lunch and I picked up the bill. They talked shop and shared ideas and it worked quite well. I said, okay, I'll do another one. So I was sending out a lot of invites. It was a lot of work to get yeses, but it's a lot easier to get a yes than saying, have you any jobs? So I was going to these CTOs going, I was talking to this person, talking about the importance of connection and networking. And so I pitch it as an intimate networking lunch. We kept doing these lunches, and then we did a Christmas event where we invited a larger number to the pub. And I interviewed a CTO, did a small fireside chat, but mostly they just hung out and had some beers and a few platters. And on the back of that, then we invited all of those attendees onto a WhatsApp group. And we got from maybe 40 attendees, we got like 7 people onto a WhatsApp group. And then we just slowly built it, inviting people in who we'd engaged with or came to one of the lunches. And if we fast forward to now, we've done 3 of the larger events, but we're doing monthly lunches. And on the WhatsApp group, there's about 55 CTOs. So now when I need to fill a table, I put up a poll. And I say the first 6 people who are available say yes, and you're in, and here's the day and time. And I fill a table in 2 minutes. And it used to take me 2 weeks of messages to get the table filled. And there was some where people pull out and you might have 2 people out for lunch. So, it took time, it needed consistency, but it got us there. And the WhatsApp group is great because there's some really interesting conversations that start happening that I'm not involved in between the CTOs talking about their issues around their team's adoption of AI. And I'm picking up all these pain points and we're able to funnel that into some of our content creation and our marketing funnel. So that complements that. And then we've started a software development manager community and a chief product officer one is starting to grow as well. So we're trying to replicate. And you asked about converting it into actual revenue, right? And this is a key thing. The golden rule for us is no selling, right? So there's no pushy sales that's happened. I've only asked the community for one thing so far, which was to fill out a short survey, which then converted into some content that we were able to use. But I can definitely point out at least 4 clients we've won from that activity. We've been introduced by some of the CTOs to other people they know from their network. So they're championing us without us even being there. One client, the CTOs in the group, they were in a board meeting. They needed to hire a director of engineering. He was like, oh, Michael he kind of knows those types of candidates. He's got this group. So we got in, we filled the role. That was a 32K fee for that director of engineering as an example. So it kind of snowballs. And last week we did a book launch event, which one of the CTOs wrote a book. So we did an event with him and that was nice. So, but we feel like it's still in its infancy and we've more to do, but it's been quite powerful so far.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's really interesting because again, a lot of people, when we talk about community a lot, and obviously we built one ourselves, but that thing about people quite often say to me, but I'm not an expert. I haven't got anything necessarily people want to talk to, but you've done what the best do is you've become an influencer and a facilitator of conversations, and the rest of it almost looks after itself.
Yeah. The lunches they just offload their challenges and what's going on, and they have a little bit of a moan. And I'm the only one who goes to every lunch because I'm hosting it, and I pick up all these things, and it's actually really interesting because you pick up on the latest and greatest, and that helps me then when I'm talking to other people. Oh, this is what's going on. These are how people are using some of these tools now and AI and the development teams, and it gives you a lot of credibility. It's great. It's going well.
Yeah. So the 3 things that everybody's trying to get to is to be a trusted expert partner, and then just with that community play, you've done that already. Can I just move it on to relationships, Michael? Because I know you've been you've been relationship focused. We all know that's what matters. How you built this community of people is the community the driver of the relationships? And how else do you maintain, with the opportunities you've got with tech, the relationship side of doing recruitment in your space?
Yeah. Yeah. And we talk about relationships a lot, and it's, especially with all the AI talk, it's like, well, the relationship, the human piece is so, so important. So it's a term that's bandied around a lot, but it is so, critical. It's at the crux of the success of what we do. If you think about recruitment as a service offering, why they pay us fees, if you think that automation and tooling is going to take away all the stuff that we do typing at laptops, what's left is the relationship piece, is understanding people, knowing people, building a network. So, in GemPool, we obviously track our face-to-face interactions with our clients, our candidates, and we have targets associated with that, because what gets measured gets done. So we put focus on it. For me personally, over the years, I've always had a policy of meeting everyone I get introduced to. As long as it's relevant to the sector we work in. So I'm always out having coffees with people, and it's simple, but you have to go do it, and you have to be committed to doing it, even if that person isn't going to necessarily go into the funnel of a role that you have live right now, but it might in time. And especially more senior candidates are important. I met a guy for coffee, ended up thinking about him for a role, but he ended up being a client. Those simple little moments make a big difference. I'll give you another example. There was a client we had who we helped them scale up over the course of about 5 years. They got acquired in COVID, and they kind of went off the radar because they didn't need us anymore once they were acquired by this US company. I stayed in touch with the CTO. I would ring him probably once every 5 months. He rarely answered. I would send him an email just saying hi. Not a huge amount of engagement back and forth. Um, and then last summer, I again reached out to him. This is like maybe 3 years after, 4 years after the relationship kind of fizzled. I'm still staying in touch. I said, can we, I'd love to buy you coffee. He was like, okay, I'm around. So I thought, this coffee is just going to be him and I talking about the business. And then he was like, actually, there's an opportunity to make some hires in Dublin. And we won a 30-person project that we've completed now. We ended up only getting about 18 of the roles. They didn't do the full 30, but we filled all of them. And we've done over 250K there in the last 6 months from that. That just that consistency of staying in touch, which is like, it's not, it's not difficult to do, but you have to kind of do it. So that's a great example of why it's important.
And I can see you, and obviously with your position at the heart of the community, you'll be a known person, so to speak. For the rest of your team, who it's not their business, they don't have the profile that you have. How have you, beyond the targets, how have you helped them become kind of relationship led?
Well, I think, we encourage our recruiters, we're 360 recruiters, so they're responsible for going out and winning business. So trying to ensure that they find and identify opportunities to develop relationships with hiring managers. Um, the reality of it is that the guys are out meeting mostly candidates, but they are getting out and meeting more senior kind of decision makers. Sean, for example, runs the software development manager community. That's his. I'm not doing that. Tanisha is running our chief product officer community along with Premica. So I'm not doing that. So they're starting
Yeah,
to build those communities themselves, and they're taking that on.
yeah.
So just working on building it over time, like I had to do.
What's your love that? What just while we're on the relationship bit, the flip side is obviously how we're using technology, how AI is playing a part in terms of your ability to
Mm.
scale, be more productive. What have you found is the sort of right balance, and what is the most useful approach that's made the biggest difference to you in terms of let's call them the new technologies?
Yeah. And I don't know if I have the right answer for this because we haven't sussed it. I mean, one decision we did make was to move away from our current system because we weren't happy with their commitment and uh, investment in AI. It wasn't happening. So we've made that decision to move away, which is a big call. In Q2, we demoed 17 systems. In Q3, we'll make a decision on one and move forward. And our
Yeah.
decision-making criteria for it is thus: if you adopt a tool, it has to increase revenue, has to reduce cost, or it needs to increase productivity, save time. It has to do one of the three.
Yeah.
Very clearly, there has to be a direct line between one of the three, or ideally more than one. If it doesn't do that, you can't adopt it. We went through an exercise of mapping all of our processes, deciding which ones could be automated, put people in pairs, going off looking at tools that could give us that, and demo them back into the team. That project was kind of like a while back where a lot of tools were more like toys. They didn't really create a lot of value or deliver on any of those three criteria. So we've been very careful about adopting more tools, but moving the ATS to a new system is going to be a big step. We're using a lot more automation around some of the basic stuff like NAM, our senior marketing managers come up with a custom gem that essentially maps out your content roadmap for your personal branding, which is something that James has done as well and showed all the members as well, that
Yeah.
any member can get their hand on, and it just makes that personal branding piece really easy. So every month on a Friday for 1 hour, everyone maps out 4 pieces of personal branding. You can time it on LinkedIn to publish it at a particular time, which is all very deliberate, and then you park it, and during the month the posts just go out. So those are the little things that people can do.
Yeah. In this crazy journey, where, as you said, we've all been playing with the toys. How for you as a business leader, what's been the value of being hanging out with a load of other business leaders within TRN in order to kind of benchmark what you do? And obviously, we've been helping our members. James has been doing a lot of work around this space, but how does that
Right.
help you navigate through this unprecedented period of change?
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely critical to be able to surround yourself by people who've been there and done it, right? I mean, this is a thing I discovered probably too late personally, is that whenever you got a problem in a business, whatever the problem is, someone has been there and done it, right? So you need to find ways of being in touch with those people, and the TRN community offers that. It's shortcut and supercharges that key principle. So it allows you to make better decisions in whatever you're doing. If it's adopting an ATS, trying to figure out how to automate a particular process within your business, how to improve business development, how to manage your company. So it's absolutely critical to have that at your fingertips, and that's what TRN does. I mean, I think about the WhatsApp groups in TRN where you can ask questions on technical on technologies, or when we're talking more anecdotally at events, or from the deliberate kind of training courses. I'm starting the traction course on Friday. Myself and Cathal are signed up for that. All these little things make a huge difference, and they just get us there faster.
Love it, love it. And we're very excited about this agent marketplace that we're building. They'll be able to give back to members. You touched on marketing just before. Um, we did a load of work Q3 or Q4 of last year where we benchmark what everybody was doing, both in terms of investment in marketing and how successful they were at the marketing. And it was a really interesting exercise because, as we know, recruitment typically has been sales led as opposed to marketing led. That is shifting significantly as people understand the power of brand and lead generation that we get from marketing. You 9% of TRM members are able to track and measure the impact that marketing is having and the ROI they are getting. Your journey with marketing is I absolutely love because I'm not going to call you a marketing cynic before, but you've shifted from being a sales-led business to totally embracing marketing and making it really work for you. Do you want to just talk through that story? Because I think it's there's a lesson for a lot of people there.
Yeah. And to be clear, all of the credit goes to our senior marketing manager, Nam, who is phenomenal. Nam came into GemPool as a grad coming out of a master's and joined us, and she's with us now, I think, 8 years. And only because of her consistent uh, and deliberate looking for ways to improve, looking for understanding of what the latest and greatest is, and then implementing those ideas in a really consistent way with a lot of follow through has made the difference. So, for example, it started looking at our website, and we made the decision a long time ago that our website wanted to be a weapon for us for candidate acquisition, for client acquisition, for talent acquisition, for our own hiring needs, rather than just a shop window, which is the case for a lot of recruitment businesses. So, we worked on SEO. We've had content roadmap for socials and for content through from our company pages for years. But we also have a personal content roadmap for each person in the business. So that's writing blogs, putting up posts on their own LinkedIn page, all of which funnels in to creating better brand awareness and SEO over the years. We've Nam has pivoted a lot of her focus now to GEO, so how we come up on the LLMs when people search there. And even just this morning, we got an email in from someone saying, I found you on Gemini. We need some IT contractors. And we got that lead in this morning. So, it's working. And, NAM tracks a ton of kind of website digital marketing related metrics like your domain authority, the number, the Google Analytics stuff, the people who are visiting your site, how long they're on your site, session times. But there's a more important funnel, which is the number of leads generated, the number of applications received, then down into how many candidates are actually added to the database. From there, how many are actually interviewed and how many are placed? And then what is the actual revenue that we can directly draw back to marketing activity? And that funnel has targets and is measured every single quarter. And, we're a company of 6 people in Q2. Our marketing revenue was over 55K for Q2. So, and that's directly linked back. So it works. And, there was a workshop actually at the retreat, Gordon, where the facilitator talked about marketing-led businesses and the importance of having a strategy around that for brand awareness, but also sales and how they're linked. And I'm always encouraged when I go to these that I'm sitting there going, geez, Nam is doing most of this. And so I'm constantly reminded by how effective she is in the business. And by the way, when the company is struggling and we're not seeing as many placements on the board because of whatever reasons, we also see that the marketing targets struggle. And that we see that as encouraging because it means that what you're targeting and measuring in the marketing is linked to tangible results. Because if it wasn't, and Nam was smashing her targets, but the team weren't performing, it's like, well, there's a disconnect there. That doesn't really make a lot of sense. So they're very closely linked. So yeah, credit, Nam's amazing.
And just as a because it fascinates me, I had a group of 50 of our members marketing people in a room a couple of months ago, and the gap between marketing and performance marketing, because when you talk, it's all performance marketing. I track these numbers, I see the impact of what we're doing, good, bad, and then you react and respond. So that gives you massive confidence as a leader that you need to do more of that or less of that, etc., etc. And as you say, you can tell us right now the revenue you got this quarter from marketing. What do you think sometimes stops people from getting to where you've got, apart from not having NAM, clearly?
I think the follow through and the consistency is key because if it's up to your individual recruiters and let's say your MD to drive this, it's hard because you have other priorities. You've got delivery and BD and all your customers and account management. Having a dedicated marketing manager like Nam who takes control of that and drives those initiatives consistently with follow through is the difference. I mean, it took us months to start seeing the SEO starting to just tick along and improve. So it can be a slow moving ship with that. But if you do it over time, you get the results. So there's no magic sauce. It is literally, having the focus on it. If you have the focus on it, you'll see the results from it. But it is real and it works.
Absolutely love it. Good. If you think of Michael, if you sort of think and reflect on what you've done in the last couple of years, because I'm so glad I had you on because I just keep on hearing what we've been talking about a lot, and you owning it and executing it in your own way and making it happen. What you've seen that change? You've, like everybody on this call, you've seen the size of the change, the requirement to change. What are some of the sort of lessons that you've learned along the way? And as you say, you're always very humble. You say I've made a lot of mistakes and got some stuff right, but what are some of
Yeah.
the lessons that you could share from the last couple of years that have been fairly unprecedented in terms of what's changing?
Yeah. Um, I think, self-awareness is important as a leader. And, I was talking to Cathal about this only last month. And, I said to him, said, I think the reality of, I don't think I'm very entrepreneurial. I don't really see clear, oh, if we go do this, we can make money this way, or if, here's how to monetize that, or, and go and doing that. So I've always needed other people's ideas and thoughts to kind of drive. What I am willing to do is take risks and experiment and try stuff. So, for example, many years ago, when became a director, I took the decision to write to other recruitment leaders. I probably wrote to 15 to 20 recruitment leaders in Dublin who didn't know me, and I said to them, you know, I'm running a business, you're running a business. I'd love to pick your brain and talk shop. I said, selfishly, I'm interested to hear how you guys do BD because we're kind of struggling. And they all said yes to coffees, and I met them all. And I learned a lot from that, just taking that action. And it kind of let me grow as a leader and kind of helped me with decisions. So the willingness to kind of experiment is key. But when you don't know exactly, well, what's going to work and how we're going to do that, you just have to try stuff. So the lunches were a good example. Just do one. And then it kind of went from there. And now we're at a point where we can really think about strategically working with that community to try to generate more value for them and for us. And as a small company, we're able to pivot and make decisions quickly, which helps as well. So, one of the things we're doing in Q3 is we said, right, we're going to have one big experiment that we're going to try, and that's going to revolve around IT contracting, and we're going to try something out and see if that works. And if it does, great. So you nearly kind of have to stumble across. I need to stumble across opportunities because I don't have that kind of entrepreneurial brain that just goes, if we do this, we'll make money. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
Well, it does. It fascinates me 'cause again. If I think across our members, we've got obviously all sorts of personalities and different experiences, etc. And we definitely got some people you'd say classic entrepreneur.
Yeah,
Uh,
right.
but I think that the big trait of the majority of our members is actually curiosity. And I really love what you did. I'd be interested to know how many of the 15 recruitment CEOs offered you a job once you did that kind of initiative. But
A,
the
cou- a couple were like, why are we meeting? Are you like, what's going on? Because I was meeting like big agencies like CPL where they've, several
yeah,
hundred. I was
yeah.
meeting their directors, and yeah, but I was
Yeah,
just curious.
but I think the reason why you're a classic TRN member is just your curiosity and your hunger to learn and your vulnerability, which is absolutely fantastic. I'm conscious of time, Michael. We've spent 2 days, it's 2 days already together this week, but
Yeah, you're
really,
sick of
really
me.
grateful. Your just final thing, your sort of view and take on the future in terms of your confidence or for GemPool, where you take it, knowing what you know, in an interesting market.
Yeah, I think just this morning we did our end of Q2 review with the team, and we were talking about the market and how it can be challenging, but there's money to be made. And actually, one of your keynotes talked about that part of the brain that gets lit up when you do hard stuff and you do things that you don't necessarily want to do, and you challenge yourself. And I think recruitment, we're constantly doing things that won't necessarily get us reward in the short term. It's like so, we're growing that part of our brain, and we're getting better and better as we work through change and difficult markets. So the rewards will come. Yeah, I think it's just for us, it's keeping the head down and doing what we do, and keep trying to find better ways of doing stuff. And the market will be what the market will be. It's hard to predict. I'm not going to sit here and kind of it's futile to predict what's going to happen in 6 months.
Yeah, brilliant. Michael, thank you. Thank you for sharing and being so open and sharing what makes you such a great member. Anybody not involved in TRN, please do come on board. We're great at sharing, and Michael summed it up brilliantly. Whatever challenge you're facing, it is somewhere within the ecosystem. There is some expert, some other member, some partner that has been there and done it, and would love to help you on the way. Michael, great to see you. Have a brilliant rest of the week. Thank you, everybody. Good luck in Q3, and have a great summer.